Hey, we're live. October 19th. Beautiful, beautiful autumn afternoon here in Andorra. Can everyone hear me okay as we go live?
I can hear you.
Let's see.
And guys, I've got a new microphone courtesy of our friends at Terabit. So if you hear too much background noise or whatever, because it's sitting on my desk, just let me know. I'm trying to figure out how to best use it.
We're sometimes technologically challenged here. David says it's all good. Andrea, Korga, Mika, Andre, Zach, Isabella in Vienna. You know, I would like to get to Vienna this winter. It's always a dream of mine to go to ball season every year. So maybe this year will be the first. All I need to do is learn to waltz first. All right. Let me get the chat on. Let me get this ready. I think we're almost all ready to rock and roll. If you guys are, still got some people coming in the room, but we will get started no matter what here. Okay. Today, interesting. We had a big event on Monday, which we'll talk about a little bit. But the markets are starting to get a little bit choppy, a little bit volatile. Things are starting to move around, even if they are fake news things. But you can kind of feel it. You know, something's happening. You know, we know the halving is coming up. So you got the feeling that some people are sitting on hair triggers from time to time. So let's sort of address these in turn. Now, first of all, what we're going to do today is we're going to go through the current market analysis. I'll share my charts with you, some of my thoughts there. I've got them loaded up over here. And we'll talk about some strategies. But today we're going to talk about Bitcoin versus ETH and which one will make you the most money and why. And this is very, very relevant because, especially for Richard, because he's made double the amount of money this year in Bitcoin versus ETH. And there's a very good reason why. There's actually a couple of reasons, but he's going to get into that later. And then at the end, of course, we will have our Q&A as usual. Hopefully we'll get a good 10 minutes or so to chat. And as a reminder, anyone who hasn't done it, if you want to sign up with the Rogue Trader Academy for a week for free, we've got anything for silver level and above. We've got a weekly call. Ask Me Anything call we do. We're stay on there for an hour and chat about your positions, whatever you got going on or questions. And our Telegram channel, we chat with our students day in, day out, and we post our real-time trades there. So let's get on here, and I'm going to share my charts with you. Let me bring that up now, as we can hear Richard's trades going off. All right, Bitcoin first. Here's the big wick that happened on Monday. It was, you know, some news came out that this Bitcoin ETF was approved. You know, just a few minutes later, it was not approved. It came right back down. That's a big wick, you know, 8% or, you know, 8 to 10%, something like that, up fast and right back down. And it's funny, we were on our live call with our students when that happened, exactly when that happened, almost like we planned it that way, but trust me, we didn't. And the interesting thing is right away, Richard said, I think it's a fat finger. And the reason, a fat finger means someone accidentally made too big of a trade. You know, they meant to buy 2,000 of something and they bought 200,000 of something or 2 million of something, right? Because we saw a big sell order come in and then a big buy order quickly right after that. So that led us to believe that something wasn't quite right. And it was an incredible opportunity. If I wasn't fooling around doing some other things, I would have bought some puts up at the top of that or something near the top. You never know where the top's going to be exactly. That would have paid off nicely, and I wish I could have told you about a big payoff I made, but I didn't catch that one. But it was very interesting. But it just goes to show what the market's doing, starting to get a bit more jumpy. And you know, when we take a look, I'm going to zoom back out a little bit. This is a 4-hour chart, so all we need. You know, we can see, you know, Bitcoin has been moving up. It's not, you know, not the prettiest of lines. You know, most technical analysis say, oh, that line's in the wrong spot, but I don't care. Look, it wants to go up. We've had this big drawdown, but went right back up. It wants to go. Whether it will or not, we'll see. But I suspect we might get some strength. Maybe it'll be a slow grind. I don't know. But I don't expect Bitcoin to sit still for too long. On the ETH side, it's a little bit of a different story. ETH is kind of a different animal these days, and it's clinging to the bottom of its range. It's just hanging out down there. It's like any excuse to go down, and it's going to go down. I mean, yes, we have this big spike. If we take a look, there's the big spike on that fake news, but no bigger than a spike before it. Now, obviously, the news was Bitcoin related, and you think it'll drag ETH with it. But to me, ETH could easily come down to these levels until Bitcoin pulls it back up. So I don't want to make any predictions here, but that's kind of the way I'm feeling. Am I 100% convinced it's going to go down? No, but that's the way I'm feeling. I'm feeling up for Bitcoin, down for Ethereum in general, which leads me to a poll question. So let me turn my screen sharing off, and I'm going to go and I'm going to publish the poll. Now, before I read the poll and jump in, we put on an Iron Condor together, right? We did that 2 weeks ago. It was an October 20th Iron Condor. I think it was 1750 calls. Hang on. I got it right here. I don't want to give you the wrong information and everybody get all mad at me or anything. So we had 1750 calls short, and we had 1900 calls long, and we had 1500 puts short and the 1400s long. Now I did say everybody voted to let it expire, but I got a bit nervous with all this jumpiness going on, and I've been lightly moving out of that position. So we're almost flat. We've collected some good money, and I'm happy to do that. It expires tomorrow anyways. Some might go into expiry. So that being said, today's question, and given what's happened in the last few days, week, or since the end of summer, really, do we still another Iron Condor, or do we look for a directional trade? Do we think that something's going to happen up, down, or otherwise, or do we think we're going to go flat for a little while? So first option is Iron Condors, baby, all the way. They've been paying us, right? Every trade has been paying us. Or maybe we're going to do a long call ratio. And what I mean by that is right now the market in ETH, for example, is around 1550. So maybe we'll buy a 1600 call, a November, or maybe a December, and we're going to sell maybe 3 calls against that same month to pay for it. So it'll cost us very little. Maybe it'll be free. Maybe we'll make a little bit of money. So we'll probably do a 1x3. But we're positioned ourselves north. Like we think we're going to go up, right? I don't know what the strikes are going to be, except the long strike. Or do that on the other side. Do that with a put. Maybe we buy a 1500 put, and maybe we'll sell some 1300 puts to pay for it. A 1x3 on the put side. Things are a little bit more expensive. Maybe we'll have to do a 1x4 to make pay. I don't know. So we want to make sure when we sell those puts, we feel that they're in a safe place where they're not going to get tested. All right. Because I don't like to adjust those sides. Or do we do both? We're like, hey, you know what? The market could go anywhere from here. Let's do it on both sides and cover both angles. So I'm going to leave this poll up for a while. Then later in the call, we'll come back to it and we'll see what the results say. And I'll give you my thoughts on what I think we should do. Richard, well, our topic today was Bitcoin versus ETH. We trade both. You tend to be a little bit more Bitcoin centric for a very good reason, or a couple of very good reasons. So why don't we jump into why Bitcoin, or I don't know if I let the cat out of the bag. Maybe I wasn't supposed to tell him Bitcoin was the better one. I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure I know the reason, but all of the historical data analysis that I've done points to Bitcoin being the more consistent asset for earning. I mean, ETH and Bitcoin have kind of been proxies of each other over their lifetime, up until with a few notable areas where they diverged, such as now. But I think it's just a function of realized vols and implied vols, isn't it? Same old culprit. If you're trading vol, you want the implied vols to be either well above or well below the realized vols. Mm-hmm. And I also wonder if there's a little bit of, I don't know, Bitcoin somehow being more mean reverting, maybe. I mean, it wasn't in 2021. It was just blasting all the way up, well, with some notable down periods. But I wonder whether ETH trends a bit more rather than zigzags on the way, because we know we can benefit from those zigzags. But yeah,
it's all about that spread between the IV and the realized or the historical IV, and I think ETH is pretty tight.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe more of the ETH inventory is actually being traded proportionally than the Bitcoin inventory. I've never checked that. I know that the amount of Bitcoin actually on exchanges is extremely low, a very, very low percentage of the amount of Bitcoin that exists, right? And I think since the staking change on ETH, certainly people have been free to take ETH out of staking. So they're able to move it into staking or out to trade it, or so there's, I guess, a lot more liquidity there, publicly available liquidity. And this is one of the things that concerns me a bit about trading Bitcoin, because it's been good money, and for 3 years. But if we do get, I'm still in the camp that thinking that these ETF business, it's already known, and there's already ETFs on Bitcoin in Europe, and how much money really is waiting in the States to be desperate to get into Bitcoin that hasn't already found it. But at the same time, it doesn't take much if there isn't much liquidity to cause a bit of another FOMO pump.
Yeah, actually, one of our subscribers, I think on our channel this morning or yesterday, even mentioned that what's the big kerfuffle about a Bitcoin ETF? We've already got them. Is right. Marketing, perhaps. I don't know. And I'm just looking at the volatility index right now. I'm looking at the DVOL on Deribit, and Bitcoin has come off a bit after that spike, as we'd expect, but ETH came off a lot more. And we're not too far off its historic lows. That's got to say something too.
What's that? You mean the vol of ETH?
Yeah. I mean, Bitcoin. We get it's a bit more robust. Again, that spread, a bit more mean reverting. ETH seems to kind of float in no man's land and do nothing. And one thing I want to mention too about these charts that I forgot to mention. Maybe I'll just quickly do that as well. I did say here in ETH that it feels heavy to me. Like it seems like nothing wants to make it go up, really. And if there's some bad news, I think we get beat. But at the end of the day, right now, we're hanging out at the bottom of the range. And what do you do at the bottom of a range? Well, you buy it, and then you sell it mid high. That is probably the smart trade, because we might continue going sideways for another month. And that's the problem when, if you're a directional trader, man, you can waste enormous amounts of time and money waiting for something to bloody well move. So I'm prepared for a directional trade. That's why if I take this directional trade as a ratio spread, I don't want to have to pay for it, or I just don't want to have to pay very much for it. So if it doesn't work out, it costs a few bucks, whatever. We had our protection in, and we had our bets on.
If ETH does get below, Shane, what do you think the next level down is?
Well, I've got my purple line here that I've had since, I don't know, the spring, or who knows when I put that in there. And this is, 1,400, maybe resistance, but really I think 1,300 is where, I'm not sure why. There we go.
So you could kind of like buy a 30 delta put and sell whatever 1,300 is, 15 delta, 10.
Yeah, I mean, are we going to blast through this range down here, this sort of, 1350 to 1250, like a hot knife through butter? Not unless it was the worst world in the news that's, threatening the very existence of ETH. It's going to get hung up there. That isn't a guarantee. So, Shane said, don't do that. But realistically, there's a lot of orders. There's a lot of people with a lot of stake in having it down here. We remember when it came down here. We remember when it poked down through 1,200, and it scared the bejesus out of everyone. We're thinking, oh man, 1,000? What if 1,000 breaks? It's going to 500. It was sheer panic, right? It's easy to do. But if it comes down, I expect we'll get hung up here for a while. Even if it does eventually go lower, maybe the true value of ETH is $750. I don't know. But it would take some time to get there, and there would be opportunities to sell puts or spreads on the way down, as long as we did it intelligently. Is kind of my.
I'm gonna do a dangerous thing and just go off script, and actually just something just occurred to me while you were talking about this. So ETH is kind of trending down, and that's not surprising given the geopolitical situation. We're at the beginning of World War III, which I keep sort of banging on about, and interest rates are still going up, and supply chains are going to get harder, and all the rest of it. Deglobalization. So ETH's making sense as an asset which is going down because it's kind of a luxury asset. And in my mind, Bitcoin is also a bit of a luxury asset. I'm not sure I buy into the digital gold thing because I don't think Bitcoin survives a nuclear war, but gold does, right? But so maybe the divergence is actually to do with the building interest because of this ETF thing. Maybe we're seeing this in the price already. The fact that Bitcoin's pushing higher, nudging higher. I mean, when we say it's nudging higher, I mean back like 4 months ago it was at 30K, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean in July, June through
It's not like it's high, right?
Almost went up to 32.
Yeah. So I wonder whether we're just seeing people just hedging because of the ETF thing, so that they're in position. So when the ETF thing happened, well, you know how it is. Buy the rumor, sell the news, right? By the time ETFs happen, we'll be done, and it'll be time to short it. Well, I did it the day before. As long as you're a senator in the US.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything you want to share, screen share, in terms of this Bitcoin versus ETH and the volatility, IV and?
No, I'm happy to screen share. I don't think it tells you very much about what I'm doing. I'm actually positioning to get a bit shorter vol on the downside on Bitcoin, so I'm happier to be a bit shorter puts than calls, but I'm still happy to sell the Smile and sell low delta calls as long as they're hedged, but perhaps in lower quantity than I was. So I'm basically keen to sort of buy risk reversals, I think, at the moment, as well as sell vol. And on ETH, tough market for my personal account. For my home savings, I'm actually avoiding ETH because I just can't figure out how to trade it at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I think I said to you before the call, I said, everything that ETH does, if it's, $50, $80, it's noise. It's almost meaningless. Like we need it to make a shift. So, if we want to trade the noise, great, trade the noise. But it's adrift at sea to me.
And I kind of feel that the markets are getting skittish, as you mentioned. You're kind of getting bigger and bigger intraday moves now. And that wick on Monday was, I think, more to do with the thin market, but wouldn't have happened if people weren't feeling a bit more, energized about things. So whether the ETFs are going to change the fundamental value of Bitcoin, they're certainly changing people's behavior. I'm going to sneeze in a minute.
Okay. All right. So on that note, mute and sneeze. So here's the thing. I'm going to go back to the poll right now. Well, what we've been doing, and we didn't plan this from the beginning. A few weeks ago, or a couple months ago, we decided, hey, why don't we do some trading with all the members and see what the consensus is, and people can, mentally have some skin in the game, take part. Okay, wonderful. But that's kind of evolved, and what we've done up to now is we've kind of done things very simply and very gently. We put on an iron condor on a date. We didn't do anything else. We didn't muddy the waters with any other trades or any other positions. So what we're going to do now is, with this trade, I'm going to put this trade on when we decide what we want to do, and I'll put that trade on. But for you, all you guys know, maybe I'm not actually doing the trade. I am doing the trade for what it's worth. But what we're going to do is we're going to change it so you guys can see us. So we're going to put the trade on live. You can see the trade. We're going to refer to the screen. We're going to do this all on Deribit. So it'll be very clear what's happening. But we're going to add a layer of complexity onto things. So if I put, right now, the consensus is leading to a long ratio spread. Okay. So if I put that long ratio spread on, and then next week during the call, we get a 12% move in the crypto markets, well, we're going to be doing some adjusting. We're going to be putting on other trades. So I think that Richard, can you mute? I can hear your keyboard.
Oh, sorry, man. Yeah.
It's the new mic thing. We've not used to that. We're going to layer these things on, and you're going to see how quickly it is, or how quickly you can get confused when you're managing an options book. And that's why we don't manage one position at a time, because I've got, I don't know, 20 positions. I don't know. I don't even remember what I did, part of positions with those left over from this or from that. Or for example, when I'm taking the iron condor off, I take the short part off. I leave the long part on if we're really close to expiry. Why not? I'm going to get nothing for it if I close it out. And if the market does make a sudden move, hey, it might pay me. But those little pieces we end up left over, I'll use those for other positions, and you'll see how we kind of manage it on a book level. So I think that'll be fun. We'll do it live, and maybe we'll even have a way for you guys to actually participate in our gains. I'm working on it. Maybe by next week or the next 2 weeks, we'll have something we can share with you and make it a lot more fun, a lot more interactive, and a lot more meaningful, I think. So back to the poll here. I'm going to end the poll here in a moment. I just ended it, so you didn't even have to wait a moment. Consensus is 42% long call ratio spread. We think it's going up, so we're going to buy, let's say we buy some 1,600 ETH calls, probably November's, December's. I'll look at the numbers afterwards, or maybe Rich is looking, I don't know. And we're going to sell some calls against it, so it doesn't cost us very much. Or maybe it'll cost us nothing, or maybe even pay us a little bit, because on the call side, I don't mind having a little bit of more naked exposure.
What's that date? What date?
Well, I was thinking the end of November or the end of December.
Right.
So we're not too far ahead. So it stays really relevant, because if we make it too late, March, we'll have forgotten about it by March. I'm like, what the hell did we do back in October? I don't know. So.
And what ratio do you want? 1/3?
Well, yeah, it depends on how much we're going to get for those other three. But I'm thinking of buying the 1,600 call, and maybe we'll sell. Let me take a look at the chart here, and I'll just share my screen.
It's ambitious for December.
If we're looking at ETH, look, the thing with ETH is, come on, get down. Oh, it's a daily chart. No wonder it's not looking quite right. I've got a 4-hour chart on that'll look a little bit better. Let me go back a bit more. I think selling the 1,900s, 1950, or even the 2,000s is a nice bet, because I think that if the market moves up there to challenge those short calls, we'll be okay. Our long calls will be huge in the money, and we can always roll the shorts out if we need to. But that's what I'm feeling. I don't know how many of those calls would have to sell to pay for each long call, but I want to have quite a few long. I want to make sure the thing goes up. It's going to pay us good.
If you look at end of December, you could probably do the 1,700 calls, go long, and then short the 2,000 calls. So okay. That's long 31 delta and short 11 delta. Okay. And that's roughly, that's premium neutral, but just a slight credit if you short it.
And that's a 1/3?
1/3, yeah.
Okay. So that's probably what we'll do. So that's December. Did you look at November?
And then that gets you, you're actually break even then is about 2,100. That's December. November's difficult because the 2,000 calls are almost worthless. They're 31 basis points.
Maybe what about a 1950 or 1900 call?
1900's 43 basis points. 70. Yeah, you could buy the 1700s again and sell the 1900s, something like that.
Okay. Well, maybe what we'll do is we'll put our heads together and we'll make that trade after the video or the weekend or something. And
it's tricky. The November one's tricky because the strikes don't quite work for the.
Okay. Probably go with December. And again, in the future, what we might do is we'll probably just do this live, and we'll just decide, boom, we'll put the trade on quick. You'll see it there, and we can every week we'll refer back to, even if we don't put a new position on one particular week, we can see the positions we have, and we can vote on taking them out. And I'm not going to necessarily follow the pure democracy, because if it doesn't make sense to me, but I think it'll be a lot of fun for us.
What about 1650 versus 1800 for
1650? I think I only about 1650 is it's at the top of this range here. So I think at 1650 it's gonna have to give us a bit of a push to get up there. Oops, sorry, wrong. My fingers are not. Well, actually, 1650 is there. I was looking at 1700. It's sort of at the top of the range, right? So if we needed to break out of the top of the range, I don't like that place so much. I'd like to find something a little near the money, I think, if we could. Because to get to 1650, a lot of people will be shorting it, looking, for the range play.
Okay, we can discuss it. We should report back on the next call what we did.
Let's do that. Okay, let's jump into some questions. If we have any, let me check here. Okay. Yes, Bitcoin will survive nuclear war. Hey, Andre. Okay, maybe, perhaps, yes. As long as we have electricity, I could just imagine us in this post-apocalyptic scenario, and I see Andre. He comes, he's all ragged. He goes, "I need to trade some food for Bitcoin. Here, it's on this hard drive." Like, Andre, no. All right.
Yeah, by the way, the EMP just wiped your hard drive.
There you go. All right. David says, I run Ethereum validators, and an emerging trend is the validator count has peaked and is starting to decline. All right.
So this means people are taking money out of staking, right?
Mm-hmm. Which is what you applied after the last event, right? It's easier for people to pull out. Yeah. Okay. Andre says, I'll conclude the only thing people are neutral now on the ROI they get from running ETH validators. Okay. I'm not deep enough in ETH ecosystem to decipher why this might happen. Yeah.
Okay. And we've got questions. I moved a couple of the comments to questions because they're a bit like questions.
Sure. David, new ETF would give US-based investors. Yes, you are right, David. I think the ETFs are in Europe. There's an asset diversification efficient frontier narrative, i.e. 1 to 2% in Bitcoin that's been brewing in the background. All right. Dan, hi there. Do you like options trading over the weekend? I noticed that the vol usually very low there. Does it make sense to take a bit more risk? That's very interesting, Stan, because we take positions off on the weekend after we've sold them. Typically, Richard, you do that all the time.
Yeah. There's a big vol move of the weekend. But this is I find this strange because I come from an FX options background, where what we do in FX options is we dilate time. So when we're computing we compute the volatility for example, a week or 2 weeks, and then we look at the number of holidays between now and that date. And a weekend, for example, is a holiday. So we might count a weekend as about maybe a third of a day per day. And we might count an economic event like a inflation announcement as 1.5 days or 2 days. So when we're computing the price of the option, we use this dilated time series, time axis, to actually put the time term into the Black-Scholes to compute the price. And it looks like the market makers on crypto aren't doing that. It looks like they're actually physically marking up and down vols across the entire surface for weekends, which is much more of a equities kind of way of doing things, I think. This is what I've been told. I'm not from an equities background, but I think there's probably a play there, and I have been looking at this as to see whether there's enough of a arbitrage in the two approaches to see if you could squeeze some value out of it. And actually, at the moment, the trading fees and the spreads don't quite allow it, but they almost do. If you were on a market maker account, maybe where you could get made into position and get paid for it, or do it at zero fees, or even 1 bip, I reckon there is a small arbitrage you could pick up. A vol arbitrage there. But yeah, in general, if I've got short positions on, I will look to take them off on a weekend because they get cheaper for sure. Certainly 1 or 2 weeks out.
Yeah, but and the funny thing is too is we've had how many times have we woken up and Sunday afternoon for some reason the market just went nuts and a big move and then people wake up on Monday and they're like, oh my gosh. And
well, I think that our Sunday afternoon in Europe is Asia's kind of getting into Asia's Monday day, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think there's a bit of that going on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Saturdays are generally low vol day, and a good day to reposition. If you want to get long the market, that's a good time to do it, I think. Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, there's definitely some strategies that can be done in there. But if you want to go long vol, maybe you're best to pick it up on the weekend.
At the moment.
At the moment, and maybe some clever people out there will find some strategy where they're buying it and then selling it on the Monday or Tuesday. Who knows? There might be some interesting opportunities in there. All right, I think we're just about out of time.
Hang on. Branko's just responding here. So using time dilation is very big in equities and equity index. Okay. Okay. So yeah, because the FX boys are always sort of denigrating the equities boys as being
a bit dull.
Animals, yeah. But I think the equities guys always think that the FX guys are stupid. So there's a bit of rivalry there, right?
Yeah.
So in that case, that doesn't explain it. So yeah, we just do see vols get marked down aggressively on weekends, and it's I don't have a good answer, but I've not been able to capitalize on it because I've always been defeated by the spreads.
Okay, we're at the end of the time for today. Thanks, everyone. So what we will do is we're going to put this trade on this call ratio spread. And again, what we're going to try and do is we're going to open a separate Deribit account. We're going to fund it just for this call with you guys. And we're going to do as much as we can live on the call. We're going to show it. So you're going to see it's actually there. And there might be other ways we can have best interest. I think it'll be a lot more fun and a lot more engaging to do that, and hopefully a much better learning experience for some people, especially as it evolves from just one strategy to multiple strategies into a book. So that'll be lots of fun. As always, thanks everyone for joining us. Please, check out the YouTube channel if you want. We post all these live shows on the YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, and join the Rick Trader Academy for 7 days for free, and maybe we can talk to you on Telegram. Other than that, we're going to see you next Thursday.
Hang on, Shane. Very important question here by Prince. Do you explain how to trade the Smile on your course? Do we have a course on that yet? Or
no,
we're doing one?
No, we don't have a course on Smile. So what we're doing is we have the fundamentals course there. We're about to launch the hedging course. But I think Smile Dynamics would be a great next one. Maybe in December we might be able to get something like that out.
Yeah. So watch the space, Prince. If you join us, we'll soon have a Smile hedging course. And of course, if you join us silver or higher, then you can always ask us about Smile hedging in the Telegram chat, and we'll answer you all day long.
Yeah. Message Richard at 3 a.m. On a Saturday night, and I'm sure you'll get an immediate response. Anyway, thanks everyone for joining us. As always, a pleasure. Thanks so much for your time, and we're going to talk to you next week.
Yeah, good, great answers and questions. Thanks, guys.